All right, switching gears a bit, oil prices had been rallying this morning as countries and cities begin to reopen, spark hopes for demand recovery. Joining us now to take a deeper look at oil's next move is Vandana Hari, founder and CEO of Vandana Insights. Vandana, always good to see you here. So I think the rally in oil off the lows has been it's been ferocious. I'm sure it's surprised a lot of bears out there. What's the next move? What's likely? Is it $60 oil or $20 oil?
Neither, I would say. And thanks for having me on your show again. Always good to be here. Probably it's going to remain around the low 40s for Brent, which is where it's been since last week. So you're quite right. Quite a smart rally in crude in recent weeks. It's 7 weekly gains out of the past 8 weeks. The market has taken a lot of confidence in demand recovery. And of course, supply reduction has been pretty strong as well. OPEC, non-OPEC cuts have been fairly high on compliance, given that it was a sizable cut in the history of OPEC and as well as the OPEC, non-OPEC cooperation. But there's this shadow still lingering on the market, which is, and as you've been discussing earlier in the show, that the emergence of the economies out of the coronavirus lockdowns has proved anything but smooth so far. A lot of cases of new clusters, outbreaks, spiking infections, especially I think for the oil market, especially the ones in some of the US states, has been especially worrisome. You know, obviously US being the largest demand center of oil.
Yeah, Vandana, I want to follow up on that. How difficult is it going to be for oil to sort of break past $40 a barrel, especially with growing concerns about a second wave of the virus? You know, this past week, we saw the number of operating oil and natural gas rigs fall to a record level, even as higher oil prices prompt some producers to resume drilling.
Yes, there's sort of two stories there in your question. One is, of course, what makes oil go higher than where it is now. And the second is, I guess you have on your mind what's going to happen to the shale sector. So as far as the first one is concerned, when you look at oil prices, you look at supply and demand. As far as supply is concerned, I think OPEC, non-OPEC have done everything they can. It's just not possible for them to cut any more. And also, it doesn't make sense because basically now, more or less, as we sit here in June, it's a far cry from how the market was so imbalanced back in April. And in fact, this month might be either just supply and demand very nicely balanced or even a bit of undersupply in the market. So it's just, you have to wait. Whether you're OPEC or an oil market bull, basically you just have to wait for demand to start rallying again. And we really don't know at this point what will happen. As far as the shale sector is concerned, there's almost like a split opinion in the market. There are a few out there who think that shale will still rise like the phoenix from the ashes, and like it has, in the previous downturns. I have a very different view, and I've been explaining to my clients in great detail. But I'll tell you very briefly. I think shale has taken a really hard knock this time. It will be very hard for it to come back. Especially, it's a very debt-dependent sector, unlike a lot of other oil and gas producers globally. And I think the investors have soured quite a bit on the shale sector, and so they're just not going to be ready to jump back in. So I think shale will sort of get down to plateau level, but getting back to the strong growth levels, I don't expect to see that anytime in the near future.
Vandana, where do you see clients jumping back to in the oil space? Is it more the oil majors? Is it the oil field services companies? What do you see?
So the oil majors generally, those with deep pockets, those who are staying on track with regards to new energies, environmental friendly businesses, those usually tend to do better. If you look at the BPs, Shells, Exxon Mobils of the world, they are also able to raise debt even in the current circumstances. Whereas if you look at shale, it's a very different story. Even national oil companies, it's not that easy for them. So generally, I think the oil majors will come out pretty strong out of this. If you're talking about services companies, I'm afraid not. It's because services companies really, their fate depends on how quickly upstream investment globally rebounds, and really I don't see that happening anytime soon.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Vandana Hari of Vandana Insights, founder and CEO. Good to see you again.
Thank you.